Thanks for clicking through to the video, and if you could better yet, comment on the video. I really appreciate getting feedback from everyone, and I thank you all again for your support as I did this. Thank you. I ran across the state of Wisconsin at the beginning of July, between the 6th and the 10th, and I've tried to record commentary on it a few times, but words don't really describe how cool, how much fun, how exciting, how much I still want to be doing that thing now that I'm not in as much pain. But more than anything, I need to explain that the coolest part about it to me was how closely I was able to work with my wife, Katie, and how much I needed to rely on her to be there for me, and that the two of us worked together toward this goal. There is no way I could have finished it. No way I could have finished it without her assistance.
I'm in the middle of my first day of going across the state of Wisconsin. I am coming into Ellsworth, Wisconsin, about 17 miles, under 4 hours so far. Right on schedule as far as that goes. Plan is to stop the first night in Eau Claire. I have a hotel room booked already. My wife is crewing me, doing an amazing job, meeting me at various points along the path. And I could not have asked for better weather as far as July in Wisconsin. Very little humidity, a nice little breeze, no rain. Pretty good.
This is clearly the coolest thing I've ever done in running. This is clearly the biggest thing I've ever done. Perhaps someday there'll be something greater and better, but the fact that we worked so well together is the part that I have to underline and say clearly. So thank you, Katie, for being there for me. Thank you for crewing me. Thank you for buying all the ice and putting up with me, especially the last day when I got to be a little bit of a handful, dealing with pain. Day one, I started in Prescott, Wisconsin around 4:53 a.m. I started on the bridge crossing from Minnesota to Wisconsin, followed Highway 10 through Ellsworth and Plum City to Durand, Wisconsin, where I picked up the Chippewa River State Trail from Durand through Eau Claire. And my goal, as much as possible, was to follow a lot of my backyard ultra pacing, where I'm trying to keep to 4 miles in an hour roughly, and then including some stops in there. Largely I did that. If you want a full blow-by-blow report, I can share with you my race report. The one I put on Fastest Known Time is rather truncated and abbreviated compared to the full written out version, where I got out everything I think I wanted to say. The basics of it were that Katie would meet me every 5 to 10 miles on the course and provide me with a mobile aid station where I could really be very efficient in my stops. And largely those stops were 10 minutes or less throughout the 5 days. I knew the first part of day one would be tough, running along Highway 10. It was a Sunday, started early in the morning. Traffic was never really an issue. It was quite safe. There was quite a lot of room. And I really felt like I was getting somewhere when I got to Durand. The beauty of the trail along that stretch from Durand through Carysville, I got a bunch of good pictures. It was pretty stunning. But largely day one was phenomenal. Went to plan. I had a lengthy stop or two, but largely day one went textbook. I think my favorite stop on day one where Katie parked at a concrete plant and she had her chair out and where it just looked like it was having a good time. And whenever she set that vibe, I really was able to feed off of that. It's like, yeah, we're having a good time. This is fun. The worst part of day one was when I chose the last 4 miles to run along the highway there going into Eau Claire. I think looking in hindsight, there would have been an alternate route that would have been safer and better. It still would have been dark. I did roll my ankle, but it ended up not mattering. And day one finished right on time at the Best Western.
So day two begins. Here we roll.
Day two went largely to plan as well. going to Abbotsford. I really enjoyed the first 15 miles or so between Eau Claire and Chippewa Falls, where I could largely crew myself. I like running in urban environments. I like exploring cities. I like looking for parks. I like looking at the bridges and the river there. It was a great time.
We're sitting here about mile 21 on our way to Cadott out of Bateman, following Highway X the rest of the day.
The first real challenge I had was when I left Chippewa Falls heading east. There was a detour, and it was the second detour of the run. I also had a detour on day one of a part of a trail. I think I got a picture in there too. The people in the stretch from Chippewa Falls to Wausau were all very polite and did a lot of waving. That was brutal, being out in the sun. It was all road. Willow Road was a gravel road. Not a lot of traffic, but not easy to walk quickly because you just can't get the traction. And my legs were pretty beat up by the end of day two, and I moved pretty slowly. Once I got back onto the tar roads, my run into Abbotsford was quite fun. I was able to move pretty quickly in the dark early in the night. Day three is where things really got challenging, partially because on day two I got into some chafing issues. And so there was real questions about if the chafing got worse, this would probably be done and I wouldn't be able to finish. So I started day three a little bit later because I wanted to make sure I had done everything I could to prepare myself for the day before going out and getting injured worse. I also was running on exposed roads again from Abbotsford towards Wausau. I actually took, I think it was Huckleberry Road, because X doesn't really go through there. And so I was heading towards Rib Mountain. I could see it off in the distance hours before I got there, but just got really warm. Getting into Marathon City, we made a route change. My initial plan had me going more north out of Marathon City, north of Highway 29, but I decided to go south because it would save a mile or two, and I had Katie crewing me. Unfortunately, it was the third day in a row that there was a detour, ended up costing me another mile. But that stop at Burger King in Wausau was phenomenal. I enjoyed that stop. And then going through Wausau was a lot of fun. I probably needed to be drinking more. I got overheated. I was getting too much salt, I think. The long and the short of it is I ended up finishing about 10 miles short of my goal on day three, and that changed everything because between the chafing from day two and the overheating from day three, it was clear I just probably wasn't safely going to be able to get my goal of 370 miles.
Well, about 30 minutes of resting, and I'm going to give it another shot here. We'll see how far I can get.
So in the end, I stopped in Hatley, Wisconsin. It meant that our hotel that we were going to get in Wittenberg wasn't the closest. We ended up getting a hotel in Weston, Wisconsin, which meant backtracking. That was hard mentally. But day four, got up early, got going again. The weather held the entire time. It was very low humidity, highs near 80, 85. A breeze. There was some cloud cover in the morning. It was really perfect July running weather.
Life's good. That is the end of day number 3. A few miles short of my goal, but still in the game.
Day 4, again, saw me dealing with too much salt, trying to get the swelling down, trying to drink more water, trying to cut the electrolytes. There was another moment, just like in Wausau, where I could crew myself. In Shawano, I could crew myself a little bit and give Katie a break because it got to be a little bit nuts for her to be stuck in the car from Hatley all the way to Shawano. Was a long stretch of just only her because there's not a lot in that section along the trail. And in order to stay close to the trail, she was crewing me intensely, as it were. And cell phone coverage wasn't the best, so it was a little bit more stressful. I did find a splash pad in Shawano that was kind of fun. Spent a lot of time in the McDonald's in Shawano cooling off, and then just continued from there. Probably could have stopped sooner. Maybe it would have been better to go to bed sooner and get up earlier. As one of the things I might do differently if I did it again would be to run more at night.
About 2 miles west of Eland.
Did you expect to make it all the way, especially with how you injured your knee last time?
I figured I had a 50-50 shot of finishing before I hurt my knee. After I hurt my knee, it was probably about a 25% chance that I would actually be able to do it. But my knee was fine.
So while you were running, what did you listen to?
I listened to a variety of things, but Honestly, I had a lot of earbud problems and I couldn't listen to stuff as much as I wanted to. Podcasts, audiobooks, and music, but not as much as I wanted.
If someone beats your FKT, would you do all this again just to win it back?
I think if I would do it for an FKT, I would go the shorter route from Prairie du Chien, so it's only about 200 miles, and I would try to do it without sleeping.
What was your favorite snack while you were running?
My favorite snack the first 2 days was milk and cereal, and the last day was Kettle popcorn chips from Aldi.
What was your favorite memory?
My favorite memories, there are two of them. One was hearing Katie laugh when I spilled my ice on me the fourth night. And
anybody that's run the Kettle races can tell you prairies get hot, no matter what the weather says.
Favorite memory?
Then seeing Katie camping in the concrete parking lot, the concrete business parking lot on day one, just chilling in the wide open parking lot in her chair.
Into Shawano.
When you finished, what was your first thought?
My first thought was stopping in the cold water.
A few miles outside of Shawano. I've had enough of the sun beating on me for one day. I'm looking forward to some shade here before I give it up for the night. Hoping to finish tomorrow at Lake Michigan. But man. So, one more hour for tonight. Got a pretty good sunset to look at. We'll pick it up in the morning.
One highlight of the whole run was the end of day 4 when my spirits were high as I realized I would accomplish the goal, and then spilling the ice. My least favorite things were number 1, the prairies by Wittenberg, number 2, the end of day 1 on Highway 37, number 3, all 3 of the detours the first 3 days were miserable, number 4, I did not like gravel roads like Willow Road on day 2 at the end and the beginning of Huckleberry Road on the beginning of day 3. And 5th, I didn't really care for Oak Avenue west of Shawano. I would rather stay on the trail, I think.
Well, early on here this morning, it was kind of cool. Made good time. At 16.7 miles ready, 3 hours, 36 minutes. And now I'll be slowing down somewhat, trying to stop from overheating today. Hopefully stay a little bit healthier this time around. My legs are great. It's just a matter of my body being able to thermoregulate decently well. I think I got too much sodium yesterday and I was having a hard time because I had too much salt in my system. I think I'm doing better now. My swelling is better, not great. But heading into Green Bay shortly. Here we go. This is my 5th day on my trip across Wisconsin. We're almost 20 miles in. It's been a ride. Can't wait to run into Lake Michigan. Beautiful weather. Hadn't seen a raindrop the entire trip. A little warm. No humidity. Just lots of sunshine. Man.
So on day 5, I did push really hard the first 20 miles to really bank some time. And for better or worse, it worked. The problem was I maybe, cut off what I could do later in the day. I was overheated and really slowed down and was in a lot of pain. But my mile times never really cratered the last 20 miles. I was really slow through Green Bay. The dumpster fire at Pizza Hut was a thing.
I just called 911 for that. I'm waiting for the fire truck. Yeah. A literal dumpster fire.
Thank you to everyone who left a comment on any of my posts. I do play with my phone too much, and it gave me great joy to share my journey with so many people following along. So thank you, everyone.
Just take a peek at Green Bay off in the distance.
I'll put this out quick.
Last hour has been painful. I figure that's what you deserve for running 300 miles or so.
The piece I need to talk about more and probably won't hear is the mental health aspect of this for me.
It really is my happy place to be out in nature, whether that's a city or rural
By the end of
environment.
day 4, it was quite clear I was going to accomplish my goals, and it settled into routine where it was clear, even if I had to do 20 minutes per mile, I was going to finish.
Oh yeah, bucket hats hold ice in bags really well.
All the pictures and videos I used to create the YouTube video were from what I was posting live to Facebook most of the time as I was running across the state. Doing all of this running certainly does make my regular life seem a little bit more mundane and not quite real. Thank you especially to Katie, my wife, for turning our 2011 Toyota Sienna into a mobile aid station with everything I needed. It was amazing. Some stats for the run include 7 quick trips I personally stopped at, 5 McDonald's I entered.
Hey, made it. We made it. That's the lake.
100+ pounds of ice that Katie bought and carried over the course of 5 days. I stopped at 2 Burger Kings. I loved Ryan City Park near Kewaunee, Veterans Park in Thorpe, and the East End Park in Ellsworth, period.
Running into Lake Michigan was epic. I had been thinking about that for days and how the cool water would feel on my ankles and knees as I was dealing with swelling and pain, and it was phenomenal.